DATV, and the Greater Dayton Area League of Women Voters present Meet the Candidates, your chance to learn about the candidates running for office in the November election.
Hello, I'm Patty Skilkin, and I'm a proud member of the League of Women Voters of the Greater Dayton Area, who's bringing you this discussion. Today I'm talking to two of the four candidates who are running for the Vandalia City Council. There are four candidates for three open positions. We're going to start out with Amber Avalotis Weaver. Amber, we're going to give you 2 minutes, 2 minutes. 2 minutes to make an opening statement. This is an opportunity to talk directly to the voters. Tell them anything about yourself you'd like them to know.
Okay. Well, obviously my name's Amber Avalotis Weaver. I am a mother and community member and business owner in the community, and I wanted to run for council because I felt that demographic of our age group was not represented. People running smaller businesses may be represented in the council, but not really anybody raising young families. And so I felt that might be important to be able to add that voice at the table when there's discussions going on in decisions that are going to be made in our community, and be able to just add that presence and voice for the residents.
Our other candidate today is Mike Blakesley, who's also running for Vandalia City Council. Mike, same rules. You get 2 minutes to make an opening statement to the voters.
Thank you, Patty, and thanks for having us at this forum today. I'm Mike Blakesley and running for City Council, and I've been a resident of Vandalia for over 40 years. I live with my wife and 2 daughters and have been a prominent person in City Council over the last few years. I was also a graduate of Vandalia Butler and have a degree in fire science and public administration. I'm also known as fire safety educator in the schools as Fireman Mike. I also have proven leadership within the City of Vandalia League of Cities national certification, as well as many other certifications. Currently running for re-election, serving all generations.
Thank you, Mike. I'm going to stick with you for the first question. What do you think is the most important role of a council member?
Obviously, leadership, as we've talked about before, that listening to the voices of the citizens and then also trying to weigh what they're saying as to what can be done for those citizens and be that voice for the people. And that's one of the reasons why I ran and started to run years ago, to be that voice for the citizens. And I believe it's very important to stay with those roots of the citizens.
Thank you. Amber, same question. What do you think is the most important role of a council member?
I think I would echo his response in that being a voice for citizens. I would also think that it is to keep local control in the best ways possible and kind of fight for that, to take away, overreach from states and other areas that we just need to keep them kind of out of our business and keep our city protected in ways that we can as council members, and listening to what our residents want conversely with that.
Thank you. I'm going to stick with you for another question. What do you think is the biggest challenge of the community you want to represent?
I think the biggest challenge that I'm hearing is things to do in the community that keep our money in the community and keep us there on the weekends, and activities. A lot of people say to me, when it comes to going shopping or doing things, I leave to go somewhere else because there's nothing really here for us to spend our money on. We have some fantastic smaller businesses and smaller venues, but we could really do a lot better in bringing things that could keep our money locally and keep it in the city.
Thank you. Mike, same question to you. What do you think?
Well, I believe that there's several challenges, and two of the largest challenges right now is what Amber's already spoken to, is local control. We're being stripped of local control by our state in some aspects through the budget and through taxation. They want to centralize taxation, which does take away some of the control for the city, in the idea that we would have taxes go to the state and then the state would pay us for those taxes. But the problem is that it would not come back to us for up to 6 months, and so they would end up having our money for that length of time. Also, the other challenge is responsible development. And I believe that economic development is a key. However, we need to do it responsibly and controlled. And that's one of the reasons why I'm on the zoning committee, to rezone or to have our zoning code looked at. I think it's somewhat archaic and obsolete and does not fare well for the local business owner, which I'm very much for the local business, because I think that's the backbone. So I think it's also not only retaining what we have, because the small business is our backbone of commerce, but also bring in some of that larger economic development as we have, again, and control it, and so that we can make sure that we don't have something undesirable. Currently, what's going on in our area now is that there are several areas that are bringing in warehousing and logistics, and that is causing quite a bit of problem in traffic. So we're looking at that to say, hey, we don't have to have that just for economic development.
Thank you, Mike. I'm going to stick with you. You know, you can't pick up a newspaper anymore without reading about the opioid problem, drug problems, and here in our area, food insecurity. I'm defining food insecurity as people who do not know when, if, how, or what their next meal is coming from, and it doesn't get any more basic than that. Do you have any thoughts on how you could help deal with either one of those issues in your local community?
Well, first of all, let's talk about the opioid problem, and that is that it's very widespread, and it is a disease. Somebody that is hooked on heroin or any sort of addiction problem, there is a concern, and that person then is always looking for that next fix. And in our community, it's probably not as prevalent on the streets, but however, it is prevalent in some of the hotels, and our police department is keeping an eye on that. Globally and more locally, I would say in the area, is a task force created by the sheriff's office. And so we are looking to team up with the sheriff's office to help to look after the problem. As far as food, we do have a food pantry and a food bank, and we are very strong in our community for helping and assisting in the citizens looking for that next meal. I believe that there are programs that the churches do help with, and we've directed folks to those churches as far as how to go about looking for possibly jobs. We've also directed people to job services, family job services, and so forth. And I believe that's probably where part of the problem lies in. Fortunately, the economic turn in the area is better than it used to be, so I don't think we see near as much as we used to. But certainly we are aware of that and would like to continue working on that.
Thanks, Mike. Amber, it's your turn. What do you think about these two issues? They're both very difficult, I know that. But drugs and food insecurity, do you have any thoughts on those two topics?
I do. Personally, I've done a lot of work in both areas. Our business has sponsored some of the trainings for businesses. We had over 75 businesses that we helped train on the opioid epidemic, and as far as Narcan training and what to do if your employee has been somehow exposed to the issue. We have an automotive business, so if they're getting in a customer's car, they could be exposed to it. I also volunteer with the Montgomery County Drug Coalition and do a lot of town halls with them, and so I see it and I'm aware of it. We've been out knocking on doors and talking to people. I definitely think that it's a heart issue for people, and you have to get them and treat them where they are. It's harder to just make legislation and just say this is the way it's going to be and expect people to just kind of meet where the law is, opposed to meeting people personally. And that's where I think that the community as a whole could step up in different ways. It's not so much a council role as it would be more a community resource. For the food issue, I do think we have some wonderful food resources in our community, and I know that that is definitely an issue. I've talked to some of the schools. We have a lot of children on the reduced lunches and reaching out for those resources all the time. So that's definitely a concern. I'd probably have to learn a little bit more to see what we could do differently, but I do, when I need to, point them in the direction to the food banks in the area.
Thank you, Amber. I've enjoyed this conversation, but now you each get 1 minute to kind of sum up or talk about your kids, your dog, your cat, whatever it is you think the voters would like to hear about you. We're going to give you 1 minute to speak to the voters and ask for their vote. Okay. Starting with you.
Oh, starting with me. Okay. Well, I'd just like you to remember that I would like to represent a different demographic than is currently on the council now, some fresh ideas, new perspectives. The council has been there for a while, and I think that it's time to just hear a new voice and represent some younger families in the community. And so when you go to vote on November 7th or do some early voting, just remember Amber Avalotis Weaver.
Thanks, Amber.
Thank you.
Mike, now you get the last word. 1 minute's worth.
The pressure's on. Well, once again, running for re-election, and I've been honored to serve the people of Vandalia for a fairly long time, but I still feel that I have a lot to give, and I'm representing all generations. And so I believe that with the proven experience that I have and some of the current projects that we are involved with, and the council itself, how well we get along, and even though we have our own opinions, we are cohesive and have been able to legislate a number of things as well as look into the future, because I believe that's what really being a council person is the CEO of the city and looking toward the future. And that's one thing that I will constantly be looking at. And if you will, please remember on November 7th to vote for Mike Blakesley. Thank you.
Thank you, both candidates. I applaud you for running for office. I think it's a brave thing to do, to put yourself out there like that. I wish more people would consider it, but congratulations to you guys. Also, a big thank you to DATV. DATV volunteers their time, their expertise, their equipment to help us bring these discussions to you and help you make up some decisions how you want to vote come November. I had to do a little plug for the League of Women Voters. We are a nonpartisan organization. We never, ever support or oppose a political candidate or a political party. If you're interested in membership, call 228-4041. We'd love to have you. Also, starting October 9th, our world-famous Voters Guide will be available in the libraries. You want to pick up a copy, it will be a help to you, I promise. You'll enjoy it. Early voting starts at the Board of Elections October 11th. And the polls open at 6:30 on November 7th. Be sure and vote. It is your democratic right. Thank you.